Hey everybody, thank you for clicking on the Father Trucker for a little while today. It is a windy day here in Ontario, Canada. I gotta tell you, it is blowing hard across this truck stop parking lot. So if the camera shakes a little bit, that's just because Big John's shaking in the wind. And so we're gonna talk a little bit today about what does it mean to get in the Jesus parade and make yourself counted with those who would worship Jesus. Brother trucker, sister trucker, I am calling you out. It's time to stand up for Jesus. Thanks for joining the Father Trucker. Hey, listen, so we are continuing our journey through John's Gospel, and the last time we were together, we were talking a little bit about Jesus' anointing at Bethany when the perfume is poured on him, and Mary recognizes him really clearly for who he is. And hey, why wouldn't she? He just raised her brother from the dead. So she's like, I think I know who this is. And in that same chapter, there is another story that's probably pretty familiar to a lot of people. We refer to it as the story of the triumphal entry. It's the day that we bring the palm branches to church if you've been around the church for a long time. And the Bible tells us in John chapter 12, the next day the great crowd that had come for the feast heard that Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem. They took palm branches and went out to meet him, shouting, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the King of Israel. And it says in verse 14 of John chapter 12, Jesus found a young donkey and sat upon it, as it is written, Do not be afraid, O daughter of Zion. See, your king is coming seated on a donkey's colt. And so let me just lean into what I said in the little intro of this video. Here is my question to you, brother trucker, sister trucker. Are you willing to unapologetically be counted with the people who would praise Jesus for who he is? Are you willing to cast aside any fear, any need to sort of hide in the crowd and protect yourself? Or are you willing to stand up and be counted as one who recognizes Jesus for who he is? Listen again to what it says in the verse. They come out with the palm branches. They shout, Hosanna, right? Which is a declaration, God saves. That's what it means. They're crying out, God saves. And it says, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So they're recognizing right away that Jesus has come in the name of the Lord. That's a declaration of his identity. And then they say this, blessed is the King of Israel. Think about where they are. They are standing in Jerusalem, which at that point in history is under Roman rule. And they were only allowed to say, Caesar is Lord. And here these followers of Jesus are coming out. They're waving these palm branches in the air, knowing that they could face persecution. And they are declaring Jesus is in fact the King of Israel. And it says that the prophet then spoke of this and said, daughter of Zion, okay, people of Israel, people of Jerusalem, and I would argue today, people of the church, do not be afraid. See that your king is coming seated on a donkey. It's an image of the king coming in to take power. And the writer of that prophecy says, don't be afraid. Let me ask you this. Why would anyone ever need to say to someone, don't be afraid? Well, I think probably because it would be maybe common sense to be afraid, right? We tell our kids, don't be scared in the storm. Why? Because the storm is scary. We tell people don't be afraid of a hard thing they're going through. Why? Because it's a hard thing they're going through. And so the prophet says, don't be afraid. Why? Because your king is coming. Because the king is about to take the throne. And you need to make a decision. Are you on the king's side, Or because of fear, are you going to join the other side that refuses to declare? And so let me just ask you that. We live in a world, we are surrounded by all kinds of opposition that would say nothing, be quiet. That would say, don't you dare declare that this Jesus that you worship is the way, the truth, and the life. Don't you declare, like Mary and Martha and now Lazarus could, that, hey, this Jesus that we worship is actually even able to raise the dead. And everyone who has become a follower of Christ can say it for themselves too. I once was lost, now I'm found. I was blind, now I see. I was dead in my trespasses and sins, and I am now alive. But please hear this. God is saying to all of us who would follow him, and I'm saying to all of you who are Christian truckers, are you willing to say it loud and say it with appropriate pride? It's not pride in me. It's not say it loud, say it proud because I'm great. It's say it loud, say it proud because the King has come, and the King still raises the dead. And so let me challenge you. Take this video and wrestle with it. There is no place in the Gospels for Christians that shut up and stay silent and refuse to speak the truth. There's no place. There's a list of sins that I won't go into today, but a list of really horrible sins in the New Testament that says none of these people are going to enter into heaven. And one of the sins, like right at the front of the list, is cowards. And please hear that. God is calling out his people for such a time as this to be willing to stand up and say, hey, count me with the Lord. And that's a reference to the book of Esther. Go read that. Bunch of bearded, hairy truckers sitting around reading the book of Esther. That's a good thing. But Esther's the one who had to face that decision. Will I stand with the people of God? Will I stand with God and be counted? Because like her cousin says to her, Mordecai says, who knows, but maybe you've been set aside for such a time as this. And if you don't stand up, Esther, God will raise up somebody else who will. And so please don't hear that as a close, backhanded rebuke. It's meant to be an encouragement and a challenge, because whenever the people of God take courage and stand up and do the things that God has called for us to do, God comes through always. He is the one who defends us. And hey, we could go through the whole Bible front to back and tell all the stories about all the times where God stood in the breach for those who stood up and were willing to be counted with him. So please do this for me. Read John chapter 12. Read about his triumphal entry. Read about what happens. This is the path. We are now getting closer to the cross, the point of it all. But please wrestle with that. And hey, if this encourages you, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell so you get the notifications when these come out. And please, if you know other Christian truckers who need to be encouraged, maybe need to be challenged a little bit by the Father Trucker's kind of directness, then please share this with them so that they would be challenged too. Because let me just say this, in the end of the age, Jesus will return, and he will come not riding on the back of a colt at that point. He will come in glory, and every knee will bow and tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Brother trucker, sister trucker, call him out as your Lord and obey him and follow him, and you'll never regret it. All right? Hey, if you have any questions, send me an email, powerservechaplain@gmail.com, or leave a comment in the thing there down below, and I'll respond to that. All right. God bless. We'll talk soon. This is the Father Trucker heading down the road. Take care.